kama leasing fee.
3 million. Sio ni deal nzuri sana. Na hii mama inenangaje?
Utatupatia 10% ya hiyo 3 million kwa rakichi installation ndio ulipwe haraka.
Hapana bana. Hiyo pesa ni mingi bana.
Tunaweza anza na 100k. Hiyo sikupatia wasiwasi.
Unaweza ituma wapi?
Kumbe hao matapeli wamekumark na wamepiga hesabu vile watakuingiza box. Red flag ya kwanza. Kenya Power hailipi mtu yoyote space ili kuweka transformers kwa shamba. Hakuna mtu anafaa kupigia for any deals na hakuna deals za kando kando.
Kwanza nakata hii simu na naripoti sasa.
Tumekuja kuwashika. Muda boss utamulikwa. Tumekuja kuwashika.
Good evening and welcome to Prime Edition. Tonight, Senator Edwin Sifuna is a beleaguered man and in many ways, one, he's been fired as the ODM Secretary General. And later this evening, the Council of Governors has cited him as one of the senators who are believed to operate an extortionist ring in the Public Accounts Committee inside Senate. Is that true or not? Obviously, that's a developing story. But of course, he's also been one of the critics criticizing the implementation of the 10-point agenda and the NADCO report. Tonight we'll be hosting the chairperson of the committee overseeing the implementation, Senator Dr. Agnes Zani, to tell us what she thinks about the implementation so far and the remarks, some of which have been attributed to Senator Edwin Sifuna. Welcome to Prime Edition. Here are tonight's highlights.
Having deliberated on matters relating to the conduct of the Secretary General, Senator Edwin Sifuna, the NEC resolved to remove him from office with immediate...
Edwin Sifuna out. ODM removes Nairobi County Senator as Party Secretary General and announces withdrawal from the Azimio coalition.
SHA can only pay a contracted facility. And so as I stand right now, as SHA stands right now, we have no contracts with any hospital for any management or any treatment in India or in other countries.
SHA teething problems. Kenyans seeking treatment abroad will have to foot medical bills for now as the Social Health Authority works to onboard international healthcare partners. And name and shame. Senators Moses Kajwang, Edwin Sifuna, Samson Cherargei and Jonas Maruma are accused by governors of extortion and intimidation. Caro Njoroge is a sign language interpreter. My name is John Jacob Kioria. You're very much welcome to this broadcast. In a short while, we'll be telling you about the developments in the ODM party. But before we do that, some sad story here and detention of dead bodies, either in hospital or mortuary in public healthcare facilities, will now be criminalized. This is not a sad story, actually. It's a big story. If a bill before the National Assembly becomes law. The Health Amendment Bill 2024, sponsored by Kirinyaga Member of Parliament Njeri Maina, also seeks to guarantee access to emergency treatment and healthcare services before patients are required to make upfront payments for anticipated medical costs. During the debate, MPs termed the bill as long overdue, citing numerous cases in which families have been unable to retrieve the bodies of their loved ones due to unpaid medical bills. The MPs say there is a legislative vacuum as the judiciary has already pronounced itself, declaring the detention of bodies unconstitutional and unlawful. This even as lawmakers called for increased budgetary allocation to the health sector as well as improvements in service delivery in public health facilities. And we'll go back to that story shortly. But then again, one of the stories that is developing tonight, and probably you will see reactions beginning tomorrow and later tonight, the Council of Governors has made good its threat to publicly name senators it accuses of intimidating and attempting to extort county bosses who appear before the Senate's County Public Accounts Committee to respond to audit queries. The chairperson of that committee has been singled by the COG alongside the vice chairperson, that is Jonas Mwaruma, who is a senator tied at Taveta County, Edwin Sifuna, the senator for Nairobi, and Samson Cherargei, the senator for Nandi, alleging they have been notorious for misconduct during oversight sessions. As part of the resolutions adopted at the meeting, the governors announced that they will no longer honor summons from the Senate Public Accounts Committee until their concerns are adequately and conclusively addressed. And of course, part of their demands includes ensuring that that committee is totally reconstituted and the removal of the four. Let's retake that story that I was telling you about. And Kenyans seeking medical services abroad will have to pay out of their own pockets, even if they contribute to the Social Health Insurance Fund. Social Health Authority Chief Executive Officer Masi Mwangangi, while appearing before a parliamentary committee, said the authority has yet to contract foreign hospitals as required by the new law, so no payments can be made abroad. Mwangangi, however, assured Kenyans that the process of pre-qualifying foreign hospitals will be completed by the end of next month, and the list will be made public.
The transition period from the National Health Insurance Fund to the Social Health Authority is proving to be a complex process that is now threatening the lives of Kenyans seeking medical services abroad. Following the enactment of the new SHA laws, a different contractual arrangement was introduced for foreign hospitals, whereby they are now supposed to be procured and contracted before they can be eligible for payments.
It is not the problem of the patient or the family of the loved ones who are outside there. They just fell sick at the point when they're paying their SHA and SHA is not taking care of the bills.
NHIF had a different methodology of contracting hospitals abroad. They issued what was known as a guarantee of payment, and they issued to a set number of hospitals before. Now we have to follow the procurement process in accordance to the law.
Appearing before the National Assembly Public Investments Committee on Social Services, Social Health Authority CEO Masi Mwangangi said, so far no foreign hospital has been contracted. Hence, Kenyans seeking medical services abroad will for the moment have to settle their bills.
SHA can only pay a contracted facility. And so as SHA stands right now, we have no contracts with any hospital for any management or any treatment in India or in other countries.
Mwangangi revealed that Social Health Authority has opened up to all facilities across the globe and not just India. MPs are, however, expressing concerns that the delayed payments to foreign hospitals owed by NHIF, which stand at 146 million shillings, was deterring the hospitals from applying for SHA contracts. The Social Health Authority CEO Masi Mwangangi has assured members of parliament that the evaluation process for foreign hospitals is ongoing and will be completed by end of this month. Only then Kenyans will be able to access medical services globally. Gishoki Washira from Parliament Buildings, Nairobi.
And now the Orange Democratic Movement has removed Secretary General Edwin Sifuna from office with immediate effects in a major leadership shakeup that was decided at the National Executive Committee of the party meeting in Mombasa. The party says the decision follows concerns over discipline and conduct within senior ranks. Busia Woman Representative Catherine Omanyo has now been named Acting Secretary General, as ODM also signals a broader political repositioning ahead of the 2027 general election.
The Orange Democratic Movement's top decision-making organ between delegates' conferences, the National Executive Committee voted to remove Secretary General Edwin Sifuna from office. The resolution was reached during a meeting held in Mombasa and chaired by party leader Dr. Buru Ginga.
Having deliberated on matters relating to the conduct of the Secretary General, Senator Edwin Sifuna, the NEC resolved to remove him from office with immediate effect in accordance with the party constitution and applicable laws.
The committee appointed Deputy Secretary General Catherine Omanyo to take over in an acting capacity until a substantive holder is elected. She will oversee the party secretariat as ODM prepares for its National Delegates Convention scheduled for March 27.
The NEC expressed grave concern over the rising levels of indiscipline within the party, particularly at the senior leadership level. The committee underscored that ODM is governed by its constitution, the rule of law, and collective decision-making through its duly constituted organs.
Sifuna's removal follows months of internal tensions between him and sections of the party leadership. The Nairobi senator, one of ODM's most visible and outspoken figures, has recently taken positions that differed with the party's dominant line, especially on cooperation with President William Ruto's administration. Those remarks triggered criticism from some party leaders who accused him of undermining collective decisions. He was notably absent from the Mombasa NEC meeting where the decision was made.
You cannot disobey the rules of the club and you continue to pride yourself that I am the party leader of ODM and yet I contradict everything that ODM is saying officially.
Just days ago, Sifuna had dismissed reports of an imminent ouster, insisting he will remain loyal to ODM regardless of his position.
Mimi nataka niape mbele ya Mwenyezi Mungu na mbele yenu kama wadosi wangu. Mahali nimeshikilia sibanduki. Kwa sababu baba hakulea watu waoga.
The NEC meeting also adopted wider political resolutions, including plans to begin the formal process of withdrawing ODM from the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition, citing violations of the coalition agreement by partners.
The NEC reviewed recent developments within the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition. It noted with concern that certain erstwhile coalition partners have acted in violation of the deed of agreement that established the coalition.
The party has now tasked its leadership with spearheading new coalition negotiations as it reorganizes ahead of the next general election cycle. With the Secretary General's office now under interim leadership and a delegates convention just weeks away, attention shifts on whether the fallout will deepen divisions within ODM or reset the party's internal order ahead of the 2027. Ben Chumba, Prime Edition.
Let's refocus our attention on governance in counties, and the Bungoma County government spent 3.7 million shillings to light up a Christmas tree and another 6.6 million shillings to finance a benchmarking trip to Uganda by 22 members of the County Assembly. And as Abdiaziz Hashim now reports, the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission is breathing down the neck of Governor Ken Lusaka and a section of the Bungoma County ward representatives of a possible misappropriation of public funds.
No, not right away.
Bungoma Governor Kenneth Lusaka and a host of his county assembly members are now on the radar of the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission EACC for bleeding the county millions of shillings on unwarranted expenses.
Governor, you see the difficulty you have. that at that time, whether you are sitting in the Senate or somewhere else, your officers made a requisition that included all these things.
For investigation and prosecution for the officers concerned.
This is after the Senate Public Accounts Committee unearthed that the Lusaka-led administration spent 3.7 million shillings of public coffers on a Christmas tree lighting event. According to the Auditor General's report, the county government spent 3.7 million shillings in September, 3 months before Christmas, to facilitate an extravagant tree lighting event. The anti-graft agency said the scope of the inquiry has since widened following revelations that the event was preceded by a benchmarking trip to Uganda by 22 members of the county assembly at an additional cost of 6.6 million shillings at the expense of the taxpayers. The EACC confirmed it is investigating claims that a fictitious imprest was issued to facilitate the MCA's benchmarking trip to Mbale, Uganda, ahead of the Christmas tree lighting ceremony held at the governor's office. The commission has directed the county government to submit original documents related to both the benchmarking trip and the Christmas event. Abdiaziz Oshim for Prime Edition.
Meanwhile, President William Ruto has told of critics who have an issue with his close association with the National Youth Opportunities Towards Advancement, that is NYOTA program, saying his administration will enhance initiatives aimed at creating job and business opportunities for the youth. While at Garissa High School grounds during the rollout of a NYOTA program in the region, Ruto said the national project has improved the livelihoods of many young Kenyans.
During the NYOTA rollout program in Garissa, President William Ruto presided over the disbursement of 63 million shillings in the NYOTA Business Startup Capital to 2,520 beneficiaries in the region. The president said the program will eventually distribute 375 million shillings to 7,500 beneficiaries in Garissa.
Kuna watu wananiambia I should delegate matters to do with the young people of Kenya. I want to tell them to take their advice to somebody else.
The president underscored the success of NYOTA, attributing its effectiveness to proper planning and execution.
And this NYOTA program is a program that I designed myself. There were other programs before, but they were poorly designed, poorly delivered, and it has minimal impact.
According to Ruto, at least 123,000 young entrepreneurs will benefit from the program's first phase in Wajir and Mandera, with each receiving a 50,000 shillings grant to boost their businesses.
Because today the people of Northern Kenya can access their birth certificates, identification cards, they can access their passports bila ya kuulizwa maswali mengi.
In addition to the NYOTA program, the president laid a foundation stone for a multi-million modern tuition block at Garissa University and inspected the Garissa Township Affordable Housing Project, where he announced a 750 million shillings investment in college and university hostels to accommodate over 1,700 students, alongside improved infrastructure projects, notably the 750-kilometer Isiolo-Wajir-Mandera Road and the Lamu-Garissa-Isiolo Highway. Mchuma Udim, Prime Edition.
Media houses have been urged to adapt to the shifting trends in the industry to remain relevant. During the World Radio Week celebrations, dignitaries who toured KBC to celebrate the evolution of radio underscored the importance of leveraging artificial intelligence, AI, to complement human effort in broadcasting.
For 3 days now, Kenya Broadcasting Corporation has had its doors open to members of the public and learners as it showcases the evolution of radio. In a series of themed outfits to mark World Radio Week, KBC employees wore sporty outfits on Wednesday. Entertainment was also on the cards. Then a nostalgic moment as the famous Vitimbi crew took to the stage.
Anachukua mpira pale MT mwenyewe Agnes. Tunaona pale Agnes anamurusia TPM. TPM anaitwa Ndetei, Ndetei anarusa nje. Nje inachukuliwa na bwana Maina. Maina sasa ni editor. Editor mwenyewe anagonga.
Speaker after speaker acknowledged the pivotal role radio plays in society.
But radio is still the biggest reach in our country, 78%, especially in the rural and peri-urban areas.
Radio indeed is still a powerful tool of medium of communication that if embraced well, we can use it to empower communities, to mobilize support, and also to preach peace and stability.
It is radio that informs us. In every corner we move, you'll find radio. Radio has no formula of listening to it.
Kenya Broadcasting Corporation Managing Director Agnes Kaleche acknowledged the place of artificial intelligence in the industry.
AI will not replace the human heart of radio. It will amplify it. We see AI not as a distractor, but as the next great transmitter, a tool to fulfill our oldest promises in new ways.
Digital platforms, FM broadcasting, online streaming, and emerging technologies are redefining how audiences consume content. And as a public broadcaster, we must evolve and are evolving and adapting to these new realities.
We are operating in a shifting environment, and I'm glad that this year's World Radio Day theme is around AI. And as government, we are also keen to ensure that our broadcasting, as has been alluded to by the speakers before, is in line with the transformations that are happening in the world.
The activities are set to continue until Friday, when the World Radio Day will be marked. Nancy Okware reporting from Broadcasting House, Nairobi.
Like Nancy Okware says, the culmination of the World Radio Day obviously will be Friday, and you're welcome to visit KBC, obviously rocking a country roads look, and it will be welcomed obviously for you to witness the goodness of KBC radio stations, all of them under the KBC stable. Now, missing security analyst Mwenda Njoka's mother wept in court today, citing frustration in finding the whereabouts of her son since his disappearance in June 2021. Jane Gatweri told trial judge Martin Moya that the investigating agencies were neither cooperating with her nor communicating the progress in their investigations. And as Ruth Wamboi now reports, the judge has summoned the owner of a car that Mbijiwe was driving before he was hijacked, terming him a crucial witness.
Appearing on Wednesday before Justice Martin Muya, Jane Gatwiri, mother to missing security expert Mwenda Mbijiwe, was overwhelmed with anguish over 4 years and 8 months of looking for his son in vain.
He was a future person in this country, so by saying Mbijiwe cannot be available, it hurts me.
The proceedings had to be paused briefly, and when she recollected herself,
if that file can be brought to this court, even the court can relax because they will have evidence what happened to my son Mwenda Mbijiwe.
She produced photographs showing his son's interaction with high-ranking individuals, wondering how a person of that caliber could disappear without a trace. The court has summoned Edward Maina Macharia, whose car Mbijiwe used before he disappeared at Roysambu area while on his way to Meru in June 2021 to give his testimony. Socialite Scarlett Wau's murder inquest had on Wednesday that several personal items believed to belong to her were recovered from the crime scene, the Papino A&B rental.
Any report, any graphics, any whatever pictures showing how the deceased had happened. There's no reports, Your Honor.
The investigating officer Alex Chokera, who is the last to testify, told Justice Alexander Mutete that the house had been booked by the prime suspect John Matara.
To my investigation, the accused person was the last person to be seen with the deceased.
Chokera broke down in tears as he explained the status of Wahu's body that was lying in a pool of blood. According to investigation by the detectives, it remains a mystery on who locked the Y32 door room from inside at Papino restaurant, where the duo spent close to 2 hours. Ruth Wamboi reporting from Milimani's Criminal Division.
Now, from a bold idea in Trans Nzoia County to a growing continental platform for African cinema. Tonight, on Cinemas and Theatre, our focus is on the Kitale Film Week Festival, founded by Peter Bwire, the festival that will be happening from the 22nd of February to the 1st of March, is steadily redefining how and where Kenyan audiences experience film.
And I hope again to see you guys soon, maybe in another forum.
Founded in 2022, Kitale Film Week is heading into its 4th edition in 2026. What began as a Kenya-Uganda film exchange has since expanded, now welcoming submissions from filmmakers across Africa.
A big part of a film is the person who made that film. So we thought about an event that could bring those audiences closer to the filmmakers, discover films, connect with each other as audiences, and filmmakers also connecting with people who are ahead of them, learn new things.
The 8-day festival features opening and closing gala nights, special screenings in between, and professional workshops led by industry experts. It also includes school outreach programs where organizers visit learning institutions to screen films and introduce students to filmmaking as a potential career path.
Since we began, we have cultivated an interest for African films to everyone who has come to that festival and to everyone who has seen Kitale Film Week growing.
Comparing the inaugural event to the festival today, Bwire says consistency has built credibility. From a little-known initiative in its first year, Kitale Film Week has grown into a recognized platform where filmmakers premiere their work and in some cases go on to tour internationally with films first screened in Kitale. He is now calling for more film festivals across different regions of the country, saying cinema culture should not be concentrated in Nairobi alone.
We are connecting communities and we are connecting people, and we are connecting stories from generation to generation. And I don't think it is fair for that infrastructure to only be in big cities. We believe that by taking film to the small towns, to the small villages, we are helping people to see themselves and to see their challenges and to talk about them.
Among the films expected to feature are The Inside Job,
We are here for the party.
Yes, boss. Directed by Tosh Gitonga and currently streaming on Netflix, and The Widow Champion by Zipi Kimundu, which tells the story of a widow championing the rights of women in her village. This year's edition will also honor the late Charles Bukeko, popularly known as Papa Shirandula, for his contribution to raising standards in Kenya's film and television industry.
A lot of people who have become good actors, prominent personalities in the TV and film industry, and even theater, have worked with him or under him.
As the festival heads into its 4th edition, it stands as a reminder that bold ideas, even outside Nairobi, can grow into platforms that shape the future of African cinema. Jacqueline Masharia for Cinemas and Theatre.
Yes, hello. Naongea na Jen.
Naongea na nani?
Yes, Jen. Tuko hapo kwako tunakata stima. Hii bili yako hujalipa.
Hai, kwani mnakata stima na Friday afternoon?
Yes, madam. Tunafanya kazi kila siku. Lakini usikuwe na wasiwasi. Hapa tunaweza saidiana.
Kims, nikatie stima hii weekend mimi.
Haina wasiwasi. Ukitupatia kama 2K ya lunch, tunaweza acha kukata sisi turudi ofisi.
Mimi niko na 1K tu.
Basi tuma 1500 tumalizane.
Sawa.
Umesikia? Wanajaribu kuchezea jena hapa game rough kuruka. Sikiza. Hakuna mtu anafaa kukupigia simu akuambia ulipe kitu kidogo ama utoweka kitu ya lunch ati ndio usikatiwe stima. Na kama kuna mtu anakupigia akidai ati kwamba uko na deni, kata hiyo simu haraka.
Oh, kumbe mlikuwa mnataka tu mnione.
Tumekuja kuwashika. Buda boss utamulikwa. Tumekuja kuwashika.
You finally came. Don't be like me. You're doing well here. What? You still mad at me? When I was young, my temper was worse than any you've ever seen. I'd rather get roughed up than let someone talk down to me.
Can control my emotions. I once truly did like you, and now I truly dislike you. Don't be so pompous. You really do mean nothing to me at all.
Let's do business now. And distribution of a subsidized fertilizer has kicked off with areas that have started receiving rains being prioritized. The Agriculture Principal Secretary, Paul Rono, says 1 million bags of the subsidized fertilizer is being distributed during this long rain season.
Agriculture Principal Secretary Paul Rono was in Athi River, Machakos County to flag off a batch of the subsidized fertilizer to Western Kenya and the Rift Valley region. The fertilizer is being distributed in batches.
The fertilizers we have acquired this time are crop-specific, they are region-specific, and soil-specific, and they meet the necessary quality standard.
We have tried to improve to have the fertilizer ready before the rains settle, so that farmers can pick and keep the fertilizer to avoid the long queues.
Rono says Kenya Railways is increasing cargo trains to the targeted regions to fast-track the distribution of the farm input and ensure farmers are well equipped for the planting season.
We have close to 200 young people every day which are loading and offloading fertilizers.
This train that we see, it is carrying 648 tons of fertilizer. It is not only we are delivering fertilizer, we are delivering quality fertilizer.
He meanwhile says maize stocks held by farmers and millers are enough to supply consumers over the next 6 months. Hence, the decision to allow in duty-free maize is being reconsidered.
The maize we have now can last for 6 months, which we have in our store. We have enough beans in our store.
Rono says farmers have already started selling their maize to the National Cereals and Produce Board, boosting available stocks for milling. He says 200,000 bags of maize have been received from farmers, with an additional 1 million bags expected in coming weeks.
We have seen an influx of farmers bringing now maize to NCPP. We are receiving around 50,000 a week.
Benson Rioba reporting for Prime Edition.
The State Department for ICT and the Digital Economy is drafting a national policy on artificial intelligence and emerging technologies to guide responsible, ethical and inclusive adoption of AI. The Special Envoy on Technology, Philip Thigo, says the move is timely to ensure the country does not remain merely a consumer of imported technologies, but instead becomes an active participant in developing and deploying AI solutions that address local needs.
Kenya has entered the AI policy conversation at a time when the country is already regarded as one of Africa's leading digital innovation hubs. However, despite strong digital penetration and a growing pool of tech talent, much of the advanced artificial intelligence infrastructure remains concentrated outside the continent, a dependence limiting local value creation and long-term competitiveness.
You need to have the predictability of government and bureaucracy, at the same time have the agility of private sector. So you have to have both, and you'll see us moving in that direction, so that we really are governing AI from kind of broader guardrails, right? Because the more you narrow it down, the more you become obsolete in less than 2 or 3 months. So you go broad, but the broad ones are guardrails, so we look at it in terms of it. We say it's the use of it, is the misuse of it, and the misuse of it.
The national policy on artificial intelligence and emerging technology is currently being developed aims to clarify how AI will be deployed in public services while ensuring transparency and trust.
Kenya, like many other countries, is grappling with the effects of AI. But tomorrow, we don't know which other technology will be developed in the coming future, in 2027, 2028. So this policy, we are developing it, having in mind that there are other technologies that will come in the future that will also help in, that it will be covered in this policy.
Because if we don't do it here, don't worry, somebody else is doing it somewhere else. And so if Kenya is going to continue to lead and engage in these things, is that we need to understand that we need to move with the times.
The initiative has brought together representatives from the private sector, tech communities, academia and government agencies in a series of high-level roundtable consultations. Trevor Ngendo for Prime Edition.
Savings and Credit Cooperative Organization SACCOs will be reformed to strengthen the cooperatives and build strong, resilient SACCO that empower communities and ease access to affordable credit. Speaking or receiving the report on the transformation of SACCOs from a team of experts appointed to review the organization's governance and operations at State House, Nairobi, President William Ruto noted that the reforms are focused on modernizing operations, strengthening governance and protecting savings of members of the cooperative movement. The report recommends upgrading of digital infrastructure, integration of fintech solutions, and adoption of shared services among SACCOs, which are the backbone of financial access for many Kenyans in the formal and informal sectors. Central Bank of Kenya expects inflation to remain stable in coming months, even as concerns emerge over possible food price pressures due to dry weather patterns in parts of the country. The Central Bank Governor, Dr. Kamau Thuge, says the current weather pattern is likely to push up prices for fresh produce such as vegetables, onions and tomatoes, but the impact would be mitigated by irrigation.
While overall inflation has eased to 4.4% in January and is projected to remain stable, the central bank has acknowledged emerging risks such as dry weather conditions that could push up food prices.
We are doing it in a measured way, but without undoing the achievements that we have on the stability of the inflation as well as the exchange rate.
Dr. Thuge says despite inflationary concerns, the shilling remains stable, supported by foreign exchange reserves currently at 5.4 months of import cover. The regulator also revealed plans to explore gold as an additional buffer to strengthen the foreign exchange reserves.
We anticipate going into the purchase of gold as an extra buffer. This is something that we have indicated before. It is one of ways of diversifying our holding of reserves, and as I've said in the past, it is something that we are actively looking at.
However, concerns remain over the slow transmission of monetary policy, with some banks yet to fully implement the previous central bank rate cuts.
This is exactly what we have been trying to do by introducing this new risk-based credit pricing model, which is to ensure that all the banks have a common reference rate, and that reference rate is linked to the policy rate, the CBR, so that when we lower the CBR, there is also a proportionate or even a one-for-one reduction in interest rates.
Ndota Mukami for Prime Edition.
Live from Broadcasting House, Nairobi, Kenya, this is KBC English Service.
Listen to the radio. Oh, listen.
The UN Secretary General was sent
has arrived in Monroe.
Started in 1928, the KBC English service is proudly the station of the nation and the mother of radio in Kenya. The heritage brand Sundowner remains the undisputed #1 early evening show. As we celebrate the unique value of radio on World Radio Day 2026, the Sundowner Sunset Date is coming home. We invite you to come and enjoy the show right from Broadcasting House, live, and interact with your favorite presenters of the station on Friday, the 13th of February 2026, starting from 4 p.m. till late. Entry is free. It's a date this Friday at the Kenya Broadcasting Corporation on Harithuku Road, Nairobi.
Rock me till I want no more.
Jinsi ambavyo binadamu anahitaji lishe bora kwa ajili ya kukua vizuri, basi ndio hivyo kwa mifugo wako. Wanahitaji chakula bora, sio tu chakula. Wiki hii kwenye Mkulima tunaangazia June Cow, lishe kwa ng'ombe wako.
Hii nyasi inakuliwa na wanyama wote. Sungura, nguruwe, ng'ombe, mbuzi, kondoo, hata pia kuku. Protein yake iko between 16 and 18%. Ni kama kulisha na dairy milk. Kila siku.
Ungana nasi kila Jumamosi saa 10:30 hapa KBC Channel 1 kwa mseto kamili wa kilimo.
Glad that you're still with us. It is time for the latest from the sports desk with me, Bernardo Kumu. The National Police Service has announced major traffic disruptions ahead of this weekend's World Rugby Sevens Division 2 tournament at the Nyayo National Stadium here in Nairobi. Now, motorists have been advised to plan ahead as thousands of fans are expected to attend the two-day event.
Motorists using a road around Nyayo Stadium should brace for significant traffic changes during the World Rugby Sevens Division 2 tournament. According to the Nairobi traffic base, Hairondrom Road will be completely closed to motorists throughout the event. Meanwhile, Mombasa Road and Langata Road will experience partial closures to manage the unexpected influx of fans.
Mombasa Road will be closed partially to ensure the safe movement of participants and spectators.
It's us continuing the journey we've been on with the teams, with the rugby union, and also our support to the local creator supportive economy.
There will also be no parking allowed at Nyayo Stadium. Fans attending the tournament have been advised to make alternative transport arrangements, including identifying parking spaces away from the venue.
So we have our KBC who will be relaying these events live. So if you don't make it, there has been arrangement through KBC. You can watch it at your convenient place.
On the security front, the National Police Service says it has put in place comprehensive measures to guarantee safety during the two-day completion.
Let the fans be assured the fourth estate just told us, the guys, those without tickets, not to come and interfere in the program, but let them be assured that already everything is taken care of and deployment is fully in place.
Kenya becomes the only second African nation after South Africa to host the World Rugby Second Tier Series tournament.
Moving on, Gor Mahia's strong resurgence in January has earned the club top individual honours, with right back Paul Ochoga and head coach Charles Akonor named as SportPesa Premier League Player and Coach of the Month, respectively. Now, the record champions enjoyed a dominant run, winning 5 of their 6 matches to open a 4-point gap over rivals FC Leopards, who have a game in hand. Ochoga was a standout performer, scoring once and providing 3 assists as he impressed down the right flank. Akonor picked up his second monthly award of the season, having also won in October after difficult December. The Ghanaian head coach oversaw a strong turnaround, guiding Gor Mahia to an 83% win rate in January. His side scored 15 goals, conceded 4, and kept 3 clean sheets. FC Leopards, KC Odhiambo and head coach Fred Ambani finished as runners-up in the player and coach categories, respectively, after solid performances during the month.
what has happened has transpired. You need to focus on the coming 45 minutes, and that we've thought very, very deep how to go about issues and things, and it's been very, very good. I have to be honest, our coach, goalkeepers coach, has also done tremendously, very, very well.
Kwanza nashukuru God, enda wanipatie nguvu kudeliver, kusaidia pia team. Na pia nashukuru pia teammates wangu, coach pia kwa kunibelieve.
Them saying, yeah, that player doesn't play for Gor or AFC, but he's deserving of the award or the recognition, because the data puts to fact what they're doing on the pitch.
And to cycling now, where the third season of the Loop Safari Gravel Series will kick off in Limuru on the 7th of March, marking a new venue for the cycling competition. Over 700 riders are expected to compete in the season opener, with teams battling for top prize of 125,000 shillings. The four-leg series will then move to Naivasha on the 13th of June for a qualifying race before heading to Vipingo in August. Race distances have been revised to boost inclusivity, with the elite category reduced to 100 kilometers and the recreational race now set at 50 kilometers, while the 20-kilometer amateur race remains open to first-time cyclists. Each leg will also feature a 5-kilometer children's fun race to promote grassroots development. Last season saw dominant performances from Ugandan riders Jordan Schleck and Mary Alepa, with Schleck emerging as a back-to-back overall champion.
We've seen clubs, we're seeing more participation now, not by individuals who are coming in as a part of a club. And we will soon not just be giving awards to the athletes, but also the clubs that have the highest registrations from one event to the other.
Get out and do the training, put in whatever it takes to be strong and to see good results, Yeah, it's always, for me, hard work, consistency and discipline.
I had to prepare for this one because last year I was the winner, so I had to put more effort so that I win today stage, and I'm happy that I won it today.
And away from cycling to running now, where three-time world half-marathon champion Geoffrey Kamworor will line up at the 2026 Ras Al Khaimah Half Marathon on Saturday in the United Arab Emirates. Now, Kamworor is regarded as one of the greatest half-marathon runners in history, having won world titles in 2014, 2016 and 2018, twice claimed the world cross-country crown and secured New York Marathon victories in 2017 and 2019. The Kenyan star announced himself on the global stage when he won the Ras Al Khaimah Half Marathon in 2013, slashing his personal best by more than 30 seconds to clock 58 minutes and 54 seconds. Other Kenyan athletes in the field include 2024 champion Daniel Mateiko, who won in a personal best of 58 minutes and 6 seconds, alongside Kennedy Kimutai, Bernard Kibet and Alex Corio.
58.45 unofficially for Mateiko. Kioria 58.49, just 4 seconds back. Brilliant, brilliant running.
That's all from me. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Bernardo Kumu.
Halo, nani mwenzangu?
Yes, halo, jambo kiongozi. Unaongea na Simon na tumeona hii shamba yako iko na nafasi nzuri sana ya kuwekelea transformer. Na sisi tuko tayari kukupea 3 million Kenya shillings kama leasing fee.
When the deal is too good, think twice.
Lakini kitu moja nakitangaza na wewe.
Hii ni kuhatarisha maisha yenu nyi wenyewe na pia ya wale mnaenda kutokea kwa manyumba zao.
We are diving into the mind. Stay vigilant to get safely and legally connected to the power grid.
Hii imewapata na hatia, na mkiwa mkuridhika na uamuzi wa koti, mko na siku 14 za kurudisha apili.
Kenya Power hailipi mtu yoyote kulispace ili kuweka transformers kwa shamba. Hakuna mtu anafaa kupigia for any deals.
Kwanza nakata hii simu na naripoti sasa.
Tumekuja kuwashika, muda boss utamulikwa. Tumekuja kuwashika.
We are done with the news. Time for us now to get into a conversation regarding the implementation of the 10-point agenda and the NADCO report. We would want to notify you that this was a recorded interview that we had with Senator Agnes Zani, the chairperson of that committee. As you will realize, we talk about Edwin Sifuna, Secretary General, which has since been overtaken by events because Edwin Sifuna has been fired today. But nevertheless, enjoy the interview and get to see what Senator Dr. Agnes Zani says regarding the implementation of a 10-point agenda and the NADCO report. Enjoy your viewing. Tonight on Prime Edition, we're engaging Senator Dr. Agnes Zani. She is the chairperson of the committee overseeing the implementation of the 10-point agenda along with the NADCO report. And she joins us really to take stock of the process so far. And I'm sure you've seen the kind of conversations around political debates regarding the work that is being done by Dr. Zani and her committee. But who better to speak about it than the chairperson herself? Karibu sana.
Asante sana.
You're very much welcome.
Thank you very much.
So probably to start us off, you can probably tell us the progress that you've made as a committee towards this agenda of implementing the 10-point agenda and the NADCO report.
Yeah, very quickly, we're the oversighting committee. We're overseeing the implementation of the 10-point agenda and the NADCO report. So through the 10-point agenda and then the NADCO report itself, what does this entail?
Yes.
It entails us overseeing. So we are not primary implementers. We might be secondary implementers because of the coordination bit, but we are primary overseers. They are primary implementers of the program themselves. For example, the ministries, specific independent commissions, EACC, IEBC, these are the implementers, among others. So what we are doing is identifying the issues in the NADCO report, and there's a raft of issues across the 5 areas of statements that were made along the NADCO. So we're looking at all these and the recommendations that were made about what should happen in terms of implementing those specific issues that have been raised in the NADCO report. How are we doing that? We are then mapping the relevant questions and the relevant issues to the relevant stakeholders. So we've been lately having stakeholder engagements. We've been going to see them. We've been going there to pay courtesy calls to some of them, just to hear how their work is going and what are the issues, where do they think the gaps are. We're also giving them written memorandum guides so that they can send to us memorandum specific about the issues that they're dealing with. And then from there, we're able also to ask for suggestions, recommendations, or any missing gaps that they think are very, very critical. So we are tracking the progress of the NADCO report through the stakeholders. And then the stakeholders, we have various types of stakeholders. We have the public stakeholders in the public offices, and then we also have the public itself. So public offices, public office holders, public institutions, independent commissions, and then we have also the public. So more recently now we've been in the field at the public forums, and we're asking across the various critical issues again. We're asking, what do you think, where do you think we are regarding the 10-point agenda? So at this point, maybe I might want to just say what the 10-point agenda is all about.
Go ahead.
I'll also talk about what the NADCO report is all about in detail, but the 10-point agenda really starts with the NADCO report itself, which gives a raft of various issues that are very, very critical and important in implementing the NADCO recommendations. The first, because when they started, the NADCO team, they started with a statement of issues. You remember this was bipartisan process from 2 political parties, and they wanted to find the raft of issues that are very, very key. So the first one is electoral justice and related issues. Key to that process is restructuring and reconstitution of IBC. What did that entail? You remember at that time IBC did not have commissions, and therefore getting the selection committee and putting the members in place, and the election amendment bill 2024, which became an act on 29th July. So that was enacted just to make sure that process goes. And then we have the boundaries delimitation issue, the issue of ensuring that quotas are established within the constituencies. This was last done in 2012, just before 2013, to get the 290 constituencies. And this needed to be done on the lower side between 8 years to 12 years. So we should have been due now, we think we're about almost 15 years without doing this. And then we have the audit of the presidential elections and a raft of recommendations that have been done. And then outstanding constitutional matters, Article 43 of the Constitution. This is socio-economic rights. The socio-economic bill, for example, which is very, very critical for that process. The no more than 2/3 gender rule, which have really influenced and affected how public institutions run, and the bills indeed, both in the National Assembly and in the Senate. And then governance issue, promoting national inclusivity and in public appointments and that sort of issue. And then we move on to fidelity to political parties. How should political parties be run? How, for example, can we mind and guide the autonomy of political parties, so we don't have members moving from one party to another political party? How do we confirm that party lists align? What sort of methodologies should we be able to have? Some sort of proposed legislation in that direction to ensure that happens. And then entrenching funds, of course, we have the National Government Constituency Development Fund, the National Government Affirmative Action Fund, and then the Senate Oversight Fund, which has been upcoming. And then the last bit is the establishment, entrenchment of state officers. This is the Office of the Leader of Official Opposition and the Office of the Prime Cabinet Secretary overall. And then now we go to the NADCO, to the 10-point agenda. The first point of the 10-point agenda is the NADCO report itself. And then we move now very closely to the MOU that was signed between the Right Honorable late Raila Amolo Odinga and His Excellency the President, targeting the specific issues. The first is inclusivity, ensuring that everybody, regardless of where they come from, whether it's ethnicity, whether it is education, is included in public, for example, office and in getting jobs. And then the next issue that we go to is the issue of devolution, and entrenching devolution and ensuring that there's no clawback. The language that is used in the MOU is that there's no clawback on devolution. For example, if certain funds have been given to devolution in the last allocation 2025 to 2026, that was 415 billion that was given in the counties. And therefore, how can we ensure that that is maintained? Which other ways can we have clawback, for example, if some of the functions that are still at national level have not been taken back to the counties? So around those issues. Then the other next issue is the issue of youth and inclusivity of the youth. These are a prime group of people in this country that need to be included in most of the matters of this country. And then the fifth is leadership and integrity, ensuring public offices are run without sense of opulence and, you know, leadership for service for the people. And then the sixth, which is always keeps coming up, it's come up a lot in the public forum, is the issue of peaceful assembly and the issue of the protesters and compensation for those protesters. And then we come to the issue of corruption, which cuts across both public service and private service. It becomes quite an issue for us. And then we come to the issue of the national debt, which currently stands at about 12 trillion. 12.07 trillion. You know, is it increasing? It is reducing. How can we manage that? For the first time, the NADCO report and the recommendations, especially of the NADCO report, was that a committee be formed to do exactly that. So this is what we're doing.
All right. Let's take it back to something you mentioned, that you've already begun engagements with members of the public, because they're a key stakeholder in the entire process. And you've talked to people, for example, from Nyanza. And you'll be heading to Coast, I believe. And sometimes these programs are overshadowed by political leaders wanting to be seen a lot as opposed to members of the public. How do you ensure that eventually it is the voice of the Kenyan citizen that is reflected in what you will recommend or in your final report?
It's a very interesting question that you've asked. We had this experience yesterday when we were in Migori County, and we had some of the MCAs coming in there. It was very good because they raised some of the pertinent issues, and when we began, we asked, do you know about the NADCO report? And they said, yes, we do. But as we went on, we realized they know quite a lot about it. And this particular MCA, for example, had a specific issue. I think it was on the audit of the 2022 elections, and he brought us, said, I didn't hear you people speak about this, because we're picking on the various issues that the members were talking about and then highlighting on this. So they do help the leaders when they're there, because they can help also to give direction to the people about exactly what it is. In many of the public forums we are going, it's very interesting, and I think it's very important for Kenyans to always have a public conversation, because this is giving us a chance for a public conversation. People are bringing various issues, and even when you said at the beginning that this is only about the NADCO report, and you explain to them, and you go to the 10-point agenda and you explain, they will talk about, for example, I worked for so-and-so, I was not compensated. I did this particular work, I wasn't paid. They will still bring up these issues. But at the end of the day, when when that platform is created in a way that they have understood what it is, they're able to say. So you cannot completely black out, for example, certain categories. You can't black out the leaders, for example. But what we try to do is we try to keep to the agenda. And we say it even at the beginning of the public forums, like, for example, the politicians who are here, this is what we have come to do, and this is the focus. So they might veer off a little bit here and there, because they must do what they must do. Somebody at the end of it will say, oh, and remember, I'm standing for this position, I'm coming to request you. Yeah. They'll put it in. If they get the microphone, they'll put it in. But in a balance of 99%, 98% to 100%, we've concentrated 98% to ensure that we have gotten in the issues that we need to get, then that is sufficient for us.
Interesting, because some of the issues you mentioned there, and particularly those ones that are in the NADCO report, you realize some of them have been implemented, and gradually. So, for example, the reconstitution of the IEBC, we already have IEBC commissioners. But listening to some of the people who judge your work, they say nothing has been done, particularly on the 10-point agenda, on the implementation of the NADCO report, and which you'll remember particularly is an MOU between the ODM party and the UDA party that is led by President William Ruto. How would you answer critics who say that there's nothing being
Before
done?
even I answer, I think it's important, and this is why at this particular point of the committee's trajectory, it's very important for us to speak to the public, to let them know what has been happening, because I think what the anticipation was is right from the beginning. We were established on the 6th of August. We've had about 4 months, and now we have the public forums and other stakeholder engagement. I think immediately people expect you to already begin to talk about the issues. Now, at that point, you're also consolidating. What is it? What is the focus? This is not just like a very ad hoc task. It's a very technical task. It's a very specific task that needs specific deliverables. Because when you're looking at the recommendations of the NADCO report, they are very, very, very specific across the board and with specific timelines. So right from the onset, we started off by mapping this whole document and understanding what information goes where, what should be achieved and by whom. So by the time we come to the stakeholder engagement, this was by January. So that gave us just about 4 months to consolidate everything. And then we've been able to come up. So I think a lot of that is going to be demystified when we are now able to explain what it is we're doing. We're able to focus and inform people exactly what it is. They will understand the trajectory that our work is taking. I think this committee is a bit different, for example, from other committees. For example, the Professor Makau Mutua committee, which was about compensation. It was quite straightforward. This is what the issue is. We're looking for who to compensate. But for the NADCO report, the specific deliverables are very, very key and very, very vast. So it took time for us to get there, but we had to get it right. Because in the 4 months then of preparation, there wasn't much engagement we would have been able to do with the public. What would we be saying, for example? We'd be saying, we're working on this, we're working on the other. But at this point now, with this particular document that outlines everything, for example, fast-tracking review of pending bills, facilitating settlement of genuine bills, for example, within counties, very specific deliverables, including, for example, national and county governments to provide food to schools and invest in boarding schools. And who to ask these questions? Ministry of Education, for example. So it has taken that technical bit for us to get there. And then the moment we went into stakeholder participation and engagement, now we were able to, and we've done a lot of for that. So it is important in such a committee to inform the public what it is you're doing. And we've realized even when we go to the public forums and we explain, and we've come for the more recent public forum where at the end of the forum now everything takes over, and now they are speaking, they're saying, talking about corruption, they're talking about the wage bill, they're talking about clawback of devolution or what they feel should happen, for example, within the county governments, and they're talking about this very, very confidently. We reach a point now where we have again to explain to them, because they say, why is there corruption then till now? We say, we are coming in to oversee, to see where the progress is, to get the information from you, to let us know where you think we are. Then we can ask the relevant agencies and say, for example, when we go to EACC, this is what we've come with from the public forums. This is what the people are saying on the public forums. How do we move forward?
For public benefit, Senator Dr. Agnes Zanyu, And I'm still referencing to what we're seeing on public podiums,
yes,
particularly in political meetings, because you briefed the ODM party, for example. I saw you go to the ODM party, you briefed them regarding your work. You also went to the UDA party, and you also briefed them the progress of your work. My question is, now what we are seeing in public platforms, is it a deliberate misunderstanding or a deliberate misrepresentation of the facts? I mean, and I'm talking about the political parties and the people who belong to those political parties.
I think it's about the interpretation of what the 10-point agenda might mean in terms of decision making that the various people want to be able to make, you know, and probably some sort of position taken, you know, to say we feel it has gone. Now, the issue is it's not about feelings, and what we want to do is to make it a very there's going to be lots of quantitative work, but a lot of qualitative work, for example. And because we're collecting memoranda, we're able to cross-refer back to the various issues and even indicate some of the solutions that are being given. So this report is not going to be a report about subjectivity. It's going to be a report which we even hope we can be able to give, for example, to key policy analysts to be able to look at, because the conversation about this conversation of the NACO report and 10-point agenda is about where are we stuck about certain issues and how can we unclog them. And a lot of effort has been made already to unclog and to be able to take us to the next step. But a lot still needs to be done. So we're coming in to say, this is the issue here. So this, I think, is not an issue of subjectivity. It becomes clearly an issue of objectivity. It becomes an issue of data. And for us, we could have also taken a position and say, okay, we're going to say that, for example, corruption is still rife, for example, or, for example, in terms of devolution, the clawback is at this level. But we are getting that information from the implementers themselves. And it's very interesting when we've been to the various ministries, and we've talked to some of the people in the state departments. And the information that is coming out is quite a lot as well, has been done in regard to the various state departments' policy and areas. For example, if we look at the parliamentary affairs one, quite a bit of legislation, because remember the NACO report was also about various legislation, including the 9 key legislation, including the Constitution of Kenya bill, initially 2023, then 2024 and 2025, the elections offences bill, the statutory instruments bill, proposed amendment bill. All these have been put into place, and tracking to find out where are these, have they been implemented. And we'll find that quite a number are still, for example, still at the level of National Assembly and at the Senate. So our task is a technical task, and I think the result of this process will be the report on the 7th of March. When that report is given, people will be able to read and see what work has been done.
So the timelines we're dealing with is up to the 7th of March?
Up to the 7th of March. This committee was established to run up to the 7th of March, and a report to be given at the anniversary of the signing of the MOU, which was done on 7th of March in 2026.
All right.
In 2025.
2025.
2025, we're in 2026.
And so the report will be this year, obviously,
yes.
In the month. But there's the big question of the absence of one of the key principles, one of the key architects.
Don't even mention.
Yeah, I know how it feels particularly, and for the entire country. But the absence of one of the key architects of the establishment of this committee, how has his absence affected your workings?
We believe that life is life, it comes and goes. We cannot control. We believe that we stayed with Baba, and may his soul rest in eternal peace, for a long time. So some of the principles and some of the ethos we already have in terms of working through some of the issues. You know, even at the time when this committee was established, and I remember the first task was to give the presentation to the joint PG, and we were able to deliver in terms of the projection of what we expected to do within the committee. Yes, definitely we're going to miss various levels of guidance and understanding, because these were issues that Baba interacted with. These are issues, if you look at right through Constitution 2020, right through Building Bridges initiatives, the same issues coming up and being articulated and trying to get the solutions. We would stop if the solutions were there. So definitely there is a gap from the death of Baba, but there's also the sense that we've been there within the political parties, we've worked closely with Baba. We also have the task that is clearly mapped up as a technical task that we should be able to deliver.
All right. Let me ask a direct question.
Yes.
And because this has come from ranking members of your party, you're a deputy secretary general of the UDA party.
Yeah. Not of the UDA
party.
Oh,
I mean of the ODM party,
yes.
sorry.
Yeah, it's all right.
Just sleep over
yes,
time.
Yes, it's okay.
Of the ODM party.
Yes.
The Secretary General of the ODM party, Edwin Sifuna, has cast doubt about the implementation of this 10-point agenda. A ranking member, Ruth Odinga, has said there lacks political goodwill. And I think you saw a post she made on Facebook. Question is, from where you sit as a chairperson of this committee, is there political goodwill to implement the 10-point agenda?
I think the best thing is to assess the statements that are being made and why they're being made. And some of the questions you might want to ask is, what are the factual data of information before such statements are made? Is there a sense of factual data? And I'll tell you what happens in politics. In politics, everything will play up within a podium, and everybody will try to assess from which direction things go and where things come from and how can they assess the particular issues. But in terms of the technicality of the process, it's quite clear. And this is what we're focusing on. This is what we're focusing on, because at the end of the day, any statements probably can objectively be made after 7th. You know, when you've looked at the data and said, oh, so this is what has happened. And this became very important then for us. It became very important for us to ensure that voter education, that primary education about the public in terms of what this committee is meant to deliver becomes very, very clear. Because minus that, it's going to be very difficult, because you're not sure when it's spoken of, just from what I picked from the public forums, for example, at the end, they're saying, no, you know, we still have, for example, a high wage bill. What have you done as a committee? So, for example, if this is the perception that the politicians you've spoken about are speaking from, then they are already really giving the assessment as public to the situation rather than to the committee itself. So I think there has to be a distinction about what they feel might be happening out there. Just like the way from the public forums, they'll say, oh, for example, we think still the issue of wage bill has not been adequately addressed, for example. The issue of corruption has not been adequately addressed. They might say all this, and they can tell us that, and they have been telling us that. But then, from the committee aspect, we're looking for the various stakeholders and asking them specific questions. Has this been achieved? Why? How long will it take? What do you think will happen? Where do you think the problem is? Is it a legislative amendment that is needed, so that we can then recommend this to the relevant stakeholders?
I'm asking about the political goodwill question, Senator Zani, because of you actually addressed a joint PG of ODM and UDA that was actually spearheaded by the President and the Right Honourable Raila Odinga.
Yes.
And then you've also gone to these parties, taken the burden upon yourselves to go to these parties to give them briefs.
Yes.
When you hear these statements come from these very quarters, and that is a question I'm asking, is there political goodwill in terms of supporting this process?
I think the political goodwill or lack of it just depends on the people themselves. They need to tell us whether they have political goodwill or not. Generally, from what I have seen in terms of the political parties themselves, they're very keen about this process. We are headed into a meeting, and I'm sure we'll be presenting to our own political parties again and saying where we are and where we stay in this particular process. So if there was no political goodwill or interest, they wouldn't even be talking about it in the first place. And we have to look at where the 10-point agenda came from in terms of origin, especially from the aspect of ODM and UDA, was a feeling that, and from ODM was a feeling that these are critical issues that we think are very, very important. In the MOU that we signed with you, the President, and Raila Molo Odinga, these are the issues. We'd like to be part of a process that is actualizing this. We need to be part of the process that is promoting and protecting the livelihoods of the young people. We need to be able, so it's the delivery agenda. We need to be able to deal with leadership and integrity. We need to be able to deal with the issues of, so it's a way to say that these components are very, very important. And for all that, you're able to get goodwill, because that's what, as Kenyans, politically, that's what we all strive to be able to get.
All right. I wanted to ask you, about accountability. Of course, before I give you time now to tell us where these meetings are headed, particularly for members of the public to engage you, but the question of resources and funding, and I don't think the committee can actually run away from this. Where are you getting your funding? Where are you getting the resources to go to these places?
We are getting the resources, and that's why we've been able to go to the resources, to go to the various public forums. The resources have to come from the political parties.
Okay.
So we don't have public resources. So we have to liaise between the key main parties, that is the United Democratic Alliance and Orange Democratic Movement, to be able to amass those particular resources within because we can't go through to the exchequer, for example, and get public funds. So far we've been able to...
So these are the political parties' funds?
This is the political parties' funds for various activities that are the political parties run activities for. And that's how we have not gone into the public exchequer. We haven't gone into the public kitty for this particular exercise. It is then bipartisan process between two political parties, but two large political parties, and a lot of the issues that come, challenges that come, and solutions that come become part and parcel of an overarching great percentage of the population as well.
We need to put a cap to this thing.
Time has
very
gone
quickly,
so fast.
Kindly mention where you're headed next. You're done with Nyanza?
Yes, we're done with Nyanza. So in the last few days, we started off in Kisumu County. We proceeded to Homa Bay. We went to Migori. And the team tomorrow is going to be at Siaya, in Siaya County. And then we're proceeding to Mombasa. We're proceeding then to the rest of the other regions. We had already put a program for this. But we keep sometimes adjusting the program just a little bit because of the dynamics as we make the planning for the various positions. So every time we are ready to go, then we do announce that we're going to particular places and we're able to get in the public. So far, the public is very, very interested in this process. I think you've had them also even talk on the media. It gives them a chance to say what the issues are, but we're telling them, just don't give us what the issues are. Propose solutions for this, and they are proposing solutions for this. For example, one of the solutions that has come from these public forums is, for example, the importance of digital platforms, for example, for most of these issues. If you can have public digital platforms, and it's one of the issues that also the NADCO report has recommended, and that becomes very, very innovative. So we are tilting the issue of how we're engaging with the public, not just to say what are the issues. Tell us some of the solutions, and we're getting some very innovative solutions that might also give us very, very quick wins. For example, if we can have digital platforms that are open databases, then I think to a large extent, people will be able to see and look and see where the progress is in the issues that are being articulated.
And beyond that, they can bring the memorandum to your physical offices?
Yes, they can bring the memorandum to our physical office, that is Magadi Room at KICC. We also have our email, which is coin10 committee, one word, at gmail.com. And we're requesting for memoranda for the public, especially those who we may not be able to meet, because all the views are very, very critical and very, very important. We'd like to hear. We really, really appreciate the public forums. We're talking to the Kenyans and we're hearing what they're saying. It is so key and so important. And also for the implementing agencies, they have really, really come through, you know, right from the state departments to the ministries to the various community services that we've been able, community-based organizations that we've been able to talk to the independent commissions. They've been able to be forthright with the information, and they've given us also their memoranda.
Thank you very much. Senator Dr. Agnes Zani, the chairperson of COIN, we call it COIN, but it's the committee oversighting the implementation of
it
the
is the acronym. It is the acronym. It is the acronym. We had a choice of saying we are the NADCO Implementation Oversight Committee, for example, but the establishment for this, the statement of establishment, this committee stated clearly it is the committee to oversee the implementation of the 10-point agenda and NADCO report. So we say NADCO report, we say the NADCO report before because of the COIN. Otherwise it would be I and one. It would be a bit complicated. So it's 10-point agenda and the NADCO report. So the COIN 10. Direct acronym from the name of the committee.
Thank you very much, Chair, for joining us tonight. We appreciate your time. Taking time, of course, from your busy schedule, because you have to go around the country, taking views from members of the public. And of course, hearing what is going on, we can only wish you good luck.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank
you.
We
put a cap on Prime Edition. Have yourself a fantastic night.
Sahi ukidial *419# option 4 ama uingie kwa tushinde.com, hakuna probox. Jaribu.
Ni ukweli. Yaani nimeshaingia na ndio tunafieka. Ya inaona iko ndani. Wanaongelea nini hao? Ni shamba. Na sio moja, sio mbili, shamba 3 hapa Juja. Very nice. Na ni area moja development na growth iko promising sana. Stima iko ndani. Hiyo. Maji inapatikana. Wow. Security iko sawa na all basic amenities zinapatikana. Shamba ni 3 na kuingia kwa draw ili kujishindia moja kati ya shamba hizi 3 ni 35 bob pekee.